Okay, today I made a promise that I would do a video about cleaning my pond filters. Before I get started with that, Pippi, quit that. I'm gonna explain everything the best I can because then the viewer and I know how everything works because I do it all the time. But the viewer, if there is a viewer, can look around and see everything I've described as I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay, so I built the pond. I turned my swimming pool into a pond. I finished it towards the end of 2023, so I've had it going for a while. I have 3 stock tanks that have a pipe running through them, and I did that with bulkhead fittings, and so that water comes through where the pool jets used to be, and I use these pumps called Aquaforce. I've got 2 of them, and then on one side it runs through the shallow end it runs through 2 stock tanks, and then in the deep end it runs through 1 stock tank, and then it fills up with fish poop, or you can call it pond muck, and I have to clean that out every once in a while. I don't really have it on a schedule. I just kind of look at it to see when it gets like it needs to be cleaned out. And then I take that pond muck and I mix it with, right now I'm mixing it with peat moss. I could do other things if I was around or working with other places where I could get dirt, but I do that, and then I turn it into garden soil, and I ended up with all the garden beds because I did so much concrete around my fence that I needed a place to put all that extra dirt. So that's how this backyard gardening idea has developed, and I think it's going to continue to grow because I made a promise that I would stick with it. I just don't know how it's going to grow or how it's going to improve. So I'm going to explain the process right now. It's definitely not perfect, but it works. My fish have been alive and well for almost 3 years now. Now, mostly I have koi fish, although there are other types of fish in there. There's goldfish in there. Used to be bluegill in there. I put some pet store fish in there at various points to see what would happen. I do not know if they're still in there. I've added a few batches of minnows in there. Don't know if those are still in there. And I've got 2 turtles. And so as far as the soil goes and my plants in the garden that I cover, put on the top of my garden beds, seems like it's working pretty good. As far as the ecosystem is concerned, that fish poop fertilizer is supposed to be really good for growth, which my garden does pretty well, except for the blueberries have taken a while to get going, but other than that, yes, everything is doing well. So you'll be able to see that in the up against the back fence, I have a stock tank that I use, and I call it my soil mixing station. Okay, and then I have several stock tanks. Right now I'm using 3. I thought I would end up adding an extra one for summer because of the water evaporates faster in the summertime, but I haven't, although we do need some rain. But anyway, I have these stock tanks around the pond I put a tarp over it, and then I put a stock tank cover over those to keep the water from evaporating. The reason why I have those is because the fish cannot have the chlorine from the water that we drink going into their water they live in. So when I let it sit there for a week or so, then that chlorine is not in there, or it's heated itself out, or however that works. it's safe to put in the pond. And so that's what I do. I also have this air filtration, not filtration, air bubble system connected to it with 8 air hoses. And let me show you that real quick before I get started. Okay, and I'll show you the air filter as we get started. But it's these are the air stones, and that I use, and let me open this. They sink to the bottom, and I connected this tubing. Y'all stop it. It is 0.17 ID by 1/4 OD. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but that is the size that fits these air stones, and it works because I have, when you get an air machine, air compressor, whatever you call it, that blows air, it does not come with lots of long hosing. So these are available at a hardware store. I got mine at Lowe's. Okay, so that's connected. I think I said that I had 8 of these air stones in the bottom. So that oxygen is good for the fish and the plants. My plants are doing very well in there. Plants are another thing that is supposed to be good for filtering the water. So I have the filtration with the vacuum. Okay, so how did I figure out the vacuum thing? I use a rigid shop vacuum, which is a wet dry vacuum, because I was receiving pond magazines, and they have pond vacuums that are so expensive. And so I was like, I used to take a bucket and try and shovel out the fish poop from the filters, and that was taking forever. And so whenever I thought about those pond vacuums and how that would make my life easier, I decided that I would try a regular vacuum and see if it worked, and it does work very well. So it saved me time and it saved me money. Let's see. I have inside of my pond filters put 3 sump pumps, and those are filled with green scouring pads, which filter the water even more when it comes up through the top. It has it has pipe. You'll see my pipes whenever we get out there. My pipes come out through like this through the top, and they go back into the filter, and then it's hard to describe it, but they make a whirly thing at the bottom when it goes down, the way the pipe is connected like this, okay, in the bottom of the sump pump, and then that water flows up through the top. I have those filters filled with pea gravel. On top of the pea gravel, I put koi pond filters so that I do not vacuum the pea gravel into my vacuum, because I don't want pea gravel in my soil. Okay? And those come from a place called Coral Filters. Now, what else is there about this? I feed my fish twice a day during the summer once a day when it gets cooler weather, because they like to eat a lot more during the summer. That's how fish are. I guess that's how their body temperature is. But you can tell if if the fish are not eating their food, the water quality is not very good. Now, I would like to improve the clearness of the water, but I do not want to use a bunch of chemicals or do a bunch of other things that are not natural. So whatever I can do in a natural way, I will try. I have tried to add the good bacteria into the pond with some of the pond products that were sold, and I've even tried to do a muck clearing tablet. Those didn't do anything that I could notice. So this is just manual things that I do so far, and maybe I'll get better at it, but I'm juggling quite a lot of different things right now. So I'm just keeping the process going as I'm building up my skills and ability, and we'll see how good I can get at finishing the construction, doing this counseling thing, speeches, gardening, all of that. I'm incorporating it all into my videos, and I think it's going to be nice to see how everything grows. Now, the other thing that I also have, which I don't ever feed to the fish, I might should, but I just don't. I just keep feeding the worms. I have a big stock tank full of European earthworms, and I eat a lot of bananas, and then I have extra things left over from the garden, so I feed the worms that. I keep them moist, so I have a giant stock tank full of European earthworms, and that's another side job that I do. Let's see. You'll see, and I'm going to try and show you this whenever we're doing it. I wear dishwasher gloves, and then gloves, I probably just wear the dishwasher gloves. But there are midge worms that get in the pond filter. That's what I looked up, and it said midge worms are red worms that feed on decaying matter. Okay? And so I do not want those things to touch me because they're aquatic worms. And so whenever I'm out there, I wear the gloves, and then I wear tall socks so that they don't get inside my shoes. And I'll show you what those looks like whenever we're doing the cleaning. But here we go. I'll show the air filter briefly. I'm not going to pull out the pond pumps today, but I have said what they are. I might do that at some other point, but today we're just doing the vacuuming. I've got so many things I need to get to, but I also think it would be nice to have all of this in my file so that at some point in my life I look back and say, wow, the things that you were developing actually did grow and improve over time. So here we go. And then also my inner voice is like, what time can I expect this pond video from you? And I was like, somewhere between 7 and 9 o'clock. So I started talking a little bit before 9. That was pretty on time. So that's another thing I'm going to try and work on. If I'm expected to produce something and I give a time that I think I can be able to do that, I need to stick with that as much as I can, because that builds a way to build a accountability and reliability with other people, trusting that I will do what I say that I will do. And that's a good. So I was sticking to it today. So here we go. Any other details I need to include about this? My goal is to get into food production. The things that I don't know about anything about the gardening yet, but I want the gardening to be included into the aquaponic system, as well as the apothecary. There's 3 A's: agriculture, aquaponic, apothecary. Okay, I'm interested in fish to eat. I'm interested in vegetables and herbs, and I'm interested in chickens eventually because I love to eat eggs. So that's that now. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to be very careful because you have to stop the vacuum before it fills all the way up, because for one, it gets extremely heavy, and for two, it'll start spewing out pond muck from the backside if you let it get too full. So I got to be careful with this computer being out there. Okay, and I'm going to walk around and show everything before I get started. Okay, this is my old bathroom cabinet, and I put this, you can see, that's my air filters. Yeah, there's 8 on there. That's not the same tubing that came with that compressor. I got a new compressor, but I used the same attachment from another one. Okay, that's a Pawfly Outdoor PA 4000. Okay, and then see how I have all that tubing strapped through here, and then it goes down into the pond. That's where those bubbles are coming from. Those are my start tanks to hold water. And that is my soil mixing station. Okay, now I've turned off that water flow right there, so that I can vacuum it out. And then I'm gonna have to trim down these. I'm pretty sure this is watercress that's growing up through the filters, but you can see what I was describing. I have bricks and stones to hold down the koi pond filters, but I also forgot that I do have a pond lining underneath that also to keep the pea gravel separated. So there we go. And that's the sump pump filled with the scouring pads, which I'm not going to take that off today. But sometimes I might have to clean that area out so that I can get all that. So here's what I see. I put concrete around that tubing. I've got a water hose attachment here in case I ever wanted to turn that on and get pond water out for my garden. Stop, Pippi. And then I built shade over the filters, so on both sides. Okay, and then I have this little, let's see here. Quit, guys. I have this thing that I protect the cord with so that no pond water or anything gets on our connection. Okay, and I'm just going to do this briefly. Okay, probably be best to show this one right here, just to get an idea of how I do it. Just stop. Guys, quit, guys. just gonna do one little cleaning of it. Okay. Here's what one brief vacuum of it looks like. See, you can see the filters a little bit better. Okay, now I will show you what it looks like inside the vacuum. Okay. There's what one round looks like. Okay. Now, okay. See, that's just a little bit on top, but what I would do is do all three of those as clean as I can get them, and then I'll mix that pond muck in with the that pink moss that I got, and then when I have room for it, I'll move it into a place that I have created for a garden bed. Now, I'm probably going to expand on my garden beds, but I'm not doing that right now because I'm in the process of construction, and there's only so many hours in a day of me expanding on my business skills. So, what else? Pippi, my God. Okay, so I'm going to get back to work. I think that's a good demonstration. I don't want to have the computer outside the whole time that I'm doing the cleaning, but I think that was a pretty good explanation. I might show myself cleaning this. I've showed pictures of myself when I've taken those sponges out and cleaned them before on my post in the YouTube channel. And what else? I don't know if I've ever shown it a picture of me pulling out the pond pumps and vacuuming them and making sure they're clean. But I don't notice that I have to do that very often. They stay pretty good. They're solid filter. The pond pumps are for solids, so they work very well, very well. So that's it for today. It will grow and expand, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But another little piece of my activities. I love you. Is it true? Is it true? We'll find out. We'll find out.